Welcome to The Restful Historian, your serene escape into a fascinating world of history and mythology. We explore captivating stories from the past, told in a calm and soothing tone to help you unwind and drift into a peaceful sleep. Tonight, we're diving into one of the most profound tales of Mesoamerican mythology, Quetzalcoatl's journey to the Underworld. Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, is a revered god of wisdom, wind, and creation. His journey to Mictlan, the Underworld, reveals a powerful story of sacrifice, courage, and the origins of humanity itself. So settle in, relax, and let this ancient tale carry you to another time and place. Join me as we follow Quetzalcoatl through the trials of Mictlan, where he encounters powerful deities and braves the unknown to retrieve the sacred bones that brought life to humanity. Let's begin this calming journey through mythology together. Imagine a journey so dangerous that even gods hesitate to undertake it. A journey to the very heart of the underworld. This is the story of Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, a god revered in Mesoamerican mythology. Today, we follow him on a quest like no other. A journey through the realms of the darkness, encounters with deities of death, and the ultimate test of sacrifice. Quetzalcoatl was no ordinary god. Known as the god of wind, wisdom, life, and even rebirth, he embodied both creation and sacrifice. His name, meaning feathered serpent, captured this duality, symbolizing his connection to both the heavens and the earth. Among gods, he was unique, passionate, driven by knowledge, and devoted to humankind. But Quetzalcoatl had a mission, one that went beyond his role as a benevolent deity. He saw humankind as a creation in need of something more, a spark that would allow them to thrive, to reach their potential. And he knew that this spark lay in the bones of past generations, bones guarded deep within the underworld, known as the Mictlan. To retrieve these bones, Quetzalcoatl would have to descend into a realm few had dared to enter, facing the ruler of death himself, Mictlan. This journey wasn't just about bones or creation. It was a symbolic act, a journey through life and death that held the power to transform both God and humankind. But the stakes were high, and Quetzalcoatl knew the perils that awaited him in Mictlan. The trails, the guardian spirits, and ultimately, the test of his own spirit. What he didn't yet know was how far he would have to go, what he would have to sacrifice, and the legacy that this journey would create. Quetzalcoatl was more than a god. He was the embodiment of knowledge, creation, and compassion. Among all the deities in the Mesoamerican pantheon, he was known as the one who would sacrifice anything for the betterment of humankind. Quetzalcoatl's role was that of a creator, a divine figure whose existence centered on ensuring the growth, understanding, and the prosperity of the world. In Mesoamerican belief, he was the god of many realms. He governed the wind, represented the dawn, was often seen as the deity who had brought civilization's greatest gifts, from agriculture to the very secrets of language. His image as the feathered serpent created this dual nature, one part earthy, one part divine, a creature that moved between the heavens and the earth. But his story wasn't complete. Quetzalcoatl was aware that for humanity to thrive, they needed something precious, something sacred. Ancient stories tell of a time before humanity as we know it, an age where the world was wild, untamed, and void of order. From these chaotic beginnings, humanity was to be born. Yet their essence, the force that would allow them to walk and breathe, was missing. The divine bones, relics of an earlier world and an earlier humanity, were the key. These bones, hidden deep within the 9 levels of Mictlan, held the essence of life. They contained the potential for all that humanity would become: strength, wisdom, and the mystery of consciousness. Only with these sacred relics could humans be fully formed, and so Quetzalcoatl took it upon himself to retrieve these bones from the depths of the underworld. Quetzalcoatl's decision was not taken lightly. Venturing into Mictlan, the realm of death, was a task that not even other gods had dared to undertake. Yet Quetzalcoatl was steadfast. Why? Because he saw humans not as lesser beings, but as creatures with potential. Potential that could be unlocked with guidance, wisdom, and the right essence. He saw them in reflections of the gods, of himself, and a chance of greatness that lay dormant. This was a mission of purpose and sacrifice. To bring humanity to life, Quetzalcoatl was willing to endure dangers that few could imagine. But the path to Mictlan was wrought with the perils, and entering Mictlan meant facing not only physical challenges, but psychological ones. The Underworld had a way of testing not just his strength, but the will, breaking down even the most determined. As he prepared for his daunting task, he knew that his journey would require all of his knowledge and courage. The god of death, Mictlan, would not easily hand over these sacred bones, and Quetzalcoatl would have to confront the ruler of Mictlan himself to succeed. This was not just a retrieval, it was a confrontation between life and death, a symbolic struggle that would mirror the eternal cycle of existence. Death, after all, was not just the end, it was part of a continuous process, a wheel that turned endlessly, giving rise to rebirth. What would Quetzalcoatl gain from this journey, and what could he lose? The stakes were immense. If he succeeded, humanity would come to life, and his mission as a creator god would be fulfilled. But if he failed, it would mean that life as envisioned would never manifest. It would mean the end of hope, the end of a dream that stretched across the ages. Imagine the weight of this responsibility. The knowledge that your actions determine the fate of a yet unborn world. Quetzalcoatl did not undertake this journey lightly. He knew that should he falter, the cycle of creation would halt, and the spirits trapped within the bones would never feel the warmth of life. The bones were more than mere remains. They were the blueprint of existence, echoes of beings who had walked the earth in times long forgotten. As Quetzalcoatl descended from his celestial realm, leaving behind the comforts of heaven, he was filled with a sense of duty so profound that it transcended even the fear of death. For Quetzalcoatl, the line between life and death was blurred. He was a god who understood that true creation could only emerge from the very depths of existence, that to bring life into this world, he must first embrace the shadows. With the resolve of a god and the heart of a warrior, Quetzalcoatl set forth. His journey would take him through world unseen, facing spirits and entities that represented the darkest corners of existence. The air grew colder as Quetzalcoatl approached the gates of Mictlan, the ominous entrance to the underworld where few dared to tread. Behind these gates lay a world like no other, a place of shadow and silence, ruled by death itself. To the ancient Mesoamericans, Mictlan was not merely a place, it was an embodiment of the ultimate journey. It represented the cycle that all living things must face: death, transition, and rebirth. For Quetzalcoatl, stepping through the gate of Mictlan was more than just a passage. It was a descent into the unknown, into realms of power that even gods must regard with caution. The gate itself was a haunting spectacle. It was vast and shrouded in fog, with ancient symbols carved into the stone pillars, symbols that had warned of the trials beyond. Each etching told the story of souls lost, heroes defeated, and those who had dared to enter but never returned. Mictlan was known as the land of the dead, but it was far from empty. It was filled with the souls of ancestors, spirits who had passed through life but lingered in this shadowed world. Quetzalcoatl knew that once he crossed his threshold, he would enter into a realm ruled by Mictlan, the god of death, who was neither friend nor foe, but an entity bound to protect the balance of life and death. This was no simple descent. It was a test of will, strength, and faith. Mictlan did not welcome visitors, especially not gods from the realm of the living, who dared to retrieve what lay in his dominion. With a deep breath and an unwavering resolve, Quetzalcoatl took his first steps into Mictlan. Immediately, the world transformed around him. The lights from the heavens faded, replaced by an all-encompassing darkness that seemed to swallow everything it touched. The air was thick and heavy, filled with the whispers of ancient spirits. Every step he took echoed in the emptiness, each a sound reminder of his isolation in the land of shadows. He soon reached the first level of Mictlan, a place known as Itzcotlan, the realm of the watchdogs. In this level, the souls of the deceased humans often encountered fierce dogs who were tasked with guiding them safely or barring their way, depending on the purity of the soul. These creatures were no ordinary animals. They could sense the heart of a soul, understanding its intentions and fears. As Quetzalcoatl passed, the dogs watched him intently, their eyes gleaming with a light that seemed to pierce right through him. But as a god, his purpose was beyond judgment, and the guardians allowed him to pass. Moving onward, Quetzalcoatl encountered the second level, Petli Monamictlan, the place of two mountains that crash. Here, massive mountains loomed on either side of a narrow pathway. At intervals, the mountains would slam together with a force that could crush anything in between, leaving no trace behind. This level represented the challenges of earthly life, where pressures and obstacles often feel insurmountable. Quetzalcoatl carefully timed his movements, advancing when the mountains separated, each step a test of precision and calm. With patience and skill, he crossed this trial, demonstrating his unwavering determination to reach his goal. The third level, Itzcotlan, the place of obsidian blades, awaited him next. This was a realm of danger and sharp edges, where the very air was filled with shards of obsidian that would cut through flesh and bone. For mortals, it was a terrifying level where one wrong move would result in deep wounds and agonizing pain. But Quetzalcoatl, with his godly reflexes, navigating the flying shards, his movements a dance of skill and precision. Each step took him closer to the bones he had sought, but each cut and scrape he endured reminded him of the sacrifices he would make for humanity. As he reached the fourth level, Katakoyan, or place where people float like flags, he found himself in a realm of swirling winds that lifted and tossed him about like a feather. The winds howled, filled with the cries of souls caught in their grasp. The power of the wind was relentless, and even Quetzalcoatl felt its force, a reminder that even gods could be humbled. This level reflected the unpredictable nature of life, where one's path could change in an instant, and survival required both resilience and adaptability. Struggling against the gust, Quetzalcoatl pushed forward, his determination growing stronger with every obstacle. Quetzalcoatl soon entered the fifth level, Temimilanoyan, the place where arrows fly like rain. Here, the air was filled with arrows, each one a deadly reminder of the threats and challenges life can bring. These arrows were aimed not by chance, but by the spirits of warriors who had met violent ends. In this realm, survival was not only about physical agility, but about the respect for the spirits who had once lived. As the arrows whizzed past, Quetzalcoatl moved with grace, honoring the spirits as he passed through, mindful of their sacrifice. The sixth level, the Yoloquayoyan, the place where hearts are eaten, was one of the most harrowing of all. Here, the souls face monstrous creatures with an insatiable hunger for hearts, representing the pains of betrayal and loss. For Quetzalcoatl, this level was a reminder of the sacrifices that he had made in his own life, for he too had faced betrayal and the agony of lost trust. Moving cautiously, he avoided the creatures, focusing on the path that would lead him deeper into the realms of Mictlan. By the time he reached the seventh level, Teocoyocoya, the place where bodies are devoured, Quetzalcoatl could feel the weight of his journey pressing upon him. In this realm, the souls encountered relentless creatures that symbolize the decay of the body, a reminder of the inevitable fate that awaited all living things. Yet, he pressed forward, understanding that decay and death were but a part of the larger cycle, a cycle that he was destined to navigate for the sake of humankind. Finally, he approached the eighth level, Mictlan Apocolocla, the place of the obsidian smoke. Here, a dense fog of obsidian dust filled the air, making it nearly impossible to see. Every step was a gamble, as the jagged ground beneath him shifted unpredictably. The darkness was almost suffocating, yet Quetzalcoatl moved forward, guided not by sight, but by purpose. The bones he sought were now within reach, and his resolve to retrieve them burned brighter than ever. Each level of Mictlan tested not only Quetzalcoatl's strength, but his resilience, resolve, and understanding of the mysteries that define the cycle of life and death. The further he ventured, the more grueling the trials became. In the depths of Mictlan, Quetzalcoatl faced challenges unlike any he had ever known. The journey through the levels of the Underworld was more than a physical trial. It was a journey that probed his mind and spirit, testing his limits in every way imaginable. After passing through the initial trials of Mictlan, each presenting a daunting test, Quetzalcoatl now faced more profound obstacles that required him to draw on every ounce of his godly resolve. The spirits of Mictlan had grown restless. They sensed the presence of a god in their domain. Their very ground seemed to tremble under his steps, as though the underworld itself resisted his advances. But Quetzalcoatl was undeterred. His mission was clear, and he would not leave without the sacred bones. As he pressed onward, Quetzalcoatl encountered the ninth level, the final gate before his destination. This level was known as Chikuna Mictlan, the deepest and most treacherous part of Mictlan, often called the place of rest, though it was anything but peaceful. Here, the souls that wandered were those who had endured the full journey of Mictlan. These spirits were not at ease. They were guardians, figures tasked with protecting the secrets of the underworld, and now they were there to bar Quetzalcoatl from retrieving the bones. Quetzalcoatl's first trial at Chikuna Mictlan was a river known as the Panahuya, the River of Blood. The river flowed with a current so swift that even the strongest spirits struggled to cross it. The water was thick and dark, swirling with the memories of all the lives it had taken. For mortals, the river was impassable, a place where they were forced to abandon hope and turn back. But Quetzalcoatl was determined. He waded into the blood-red waters, feeling the pull of the current trying to drag him down. With each step, he felt the weight of countless souls clinging to him, each one a reminder of those who had failed. Yet, he moved forward. His will was stronger than the river's current. The spirits eventually relinquished their grip, allowing him to cross to the other side. No sooner had he emerged from the river than he was confronted by a cavern filled with serpent. Known as the Quetzalcoatl Cavern, this dark and narrow passage was home to venomous snakes that guarded the path. These snakes were not ordinary creatures. They were the embodiment of fears and regrets that humans carried into the afterlife. Each serpent represented a memory, a missed opportunity, a broken promise, betrayal, all the things that weighed down his soul. The snakes lunged at Quetzalcoatl, their fangs gleaming in the dim light, but he moved through the cavern with patience, acknowledging each serpent as it attacked. By facing each memory with acceptance, he neutralized their venom. The serpents recoiled, allowing him to pass, acknowledging the god who bore no regrets. Exiting the serpent-filled cavern, Quetzalcoatl reached a towering cliff shrouded in shadows, the Cliff of Forgotten Souls. This cliff was unlike any he had encountered. Its surface was covered with handprints, claw marks, and symbols etched by souls who had once tried to scale it. The cliffs represented life's greatest struggles, the trials that define one's journey, and the regrets left unfulfilled. This trial was particularly symbolic for Quetzalcoatl, as it required him to climb with nothing but his willpower. The cliff offered no footholds, and the ground below seemed to grow further away with each step upward. Quetzalcoatl's muscles strained, his divine energy waning with each move, but he pushed onward, feeling the pull of his purpose stronger than any fear of falling. When he reached the top, he looked back, understanding that his climb represented the ascent of every mortal striving to overcome their own life's burdens. As he descended from the cliff, the atmosphere shifted once more. A cold mist filled the air, and a quiet despair settled over the landscape. Quetzalcoatl was now in Xochicalco, the realm of loneliness and isolation. Here, the souls he encountered were those who had felt forgotten and lost in life, left to wander in silence. The spirits floated through the mist like shadows, their faces blank and expressionless, each one a reminder of the isolating pain that could consume a life. This realm tested Quetzalcoatl's empathy. He walked among the spirits, acknowledging each one, radiating warmth and comfort. Though he could not speak to them, his presence alone seemed to bring peace, as if his journey offered them hope. Finally, Quetzalcoatl reached the Hall of Mirrors, an unexpected final trial. This hall was filled with mirrors, each one reflecting a different version of himself. Versions shaped by his fears, his mistakes, his ambitions, and his ego. It was here that he faced his own reflection, the sides of himself that he had buried over millennia. Each mirror confronted him with the truth that he had ignored. A reminder of the duality that came with being both a creator and a destroyer, a god with flaws like any other. Quetzalcoatl moved through the hall, accepting each reflection, recognizing his imperfections, and embracing his full self. With this acceptance, the mirrors dissolved, revealing the path to his final destination. At long last, Quetzalcoatl arrived at the deepest chambers of Mictlan, where the sacred bones lay. These bones, ancient and fragile, were the remnants of those who had come before, the foundation upon which humanity would be built. As he approached, the bones seemed to hum with an energy that resonated with his very soul. Quetzalcoatl reached out, his hands trembling with reverence. He understood that these bones were more than objects. They were memories, dreams, and the essence of life itself. In that moment, Mictlan, the god of death, appeared before him. Mictlan's gaze was piercing, his presence filling the chamber with a weight that seemed to crush the very air. The god of death demanded to know why Quetzalcoatl, the god of the heavens, dared to intrude upon his domain and disturb the sacred order of life and death. Quetzalcoatl, with humility and strength, explained his purpose: the creation of humanity, a new chance for life, a world where beings could grow, learn, and find meaning in existence. Mictlan listened in silence, his expression unreadable. He reminded Quetzalcoatl that the bones did not belong to him or any god, that they were bound to the cycle of existence, tied to the world of the dead. But Quetzalcoatl, unwavering, appealed to the value of creation and the endless possibilities that humanity could bring. Mictlan challenged him further, warning that such a gift as life came with consequences, that humans would suffer, struggle, and face their own underworlds. Would Quetzalcoatl take responsibility for the suffering that would come as a part of life's cycle? Quetzalcoatl unflinchingly answered that he would, for life without struggle was not a life at all. Humanity, he argued, would not be complete without the capacity for growth, even if it meant pain. Mictlan considered his words, and with a grave nod, he allowed Quetzalcoatl to take the bones, but not without a final test. A final confrontation that would determine the fate of the bones and, ultimately, of humankind. With a heavy heart and a deep respect for the cycle of life and death, Quetzalcoatl prepared himself for the final confrontation. His journey through Mictlan had been long, arduous, and transformative. Each trial had shaped him, tempered him, and deepened his resolve. Now, as he stood face to face with death itself, he was ready to fulfill his role as a creator, as a god who understood the beauty and fragility of life, and as a being who would carry the weight of his decision for eternity. Mictlan was no ordinary god. He was the embodiment of death, an eternal presence beyond time or form, a force that neither relented nor showed mercy. His skeletal face was shadowed by an aurora of foreboding, as his hollow gaze warned to Quetzalcoatl, as if measuring the depth of his resolve. The god of death exuded an unsettling calm, as if he had foreseen this encounter long before Quetzalcoatl had even considered this journey. Mictlan's voice echoed through the chamber, low and resonant, carrying the weight of ages. "Why do you seek to disrupt the order of existence?" he asked. "Why do you, a god of life, come to meddle in realms beyond your own?" Quetzalcoatl held his ground, feeling the weight of his mission press upon him. He explained his purpose with humility, acknowledging the delicate balance between life and death. His voice was steady as he spoke of humanity, a creation that would embody both the strength and fragility of existence. These beings would learn, live, and face their own journeys, growing through the trials of life and ultimately facing death. Humanity, he said, would be a testament to the duality of creation, a bridge between the realms of gods and mortals. Mictlan regarded him in silence, absorbing his words. There was a stillness in the air, a quiet that seemed to throb with the energy of the underworld. And then, with an expression unreadable, Mictlan replied, "Life and death are intertwined. These bones you seek to take are bound to my realm, tied to the cycles of eternity. If you take them, you sever a thread of existence that even gods could not mend." Quetzalcoatl listened, understanding the gravity of Mictlan's words. Yet he was undeterred. "I know the risk," he said, his voice resolute. "I do not seek to break the cycle, but to expand it. Humanity will know suffering, yes, but also love, resilience, and growth. They will carry the knowledge of both life and death, and in their journey, they will honor the balance that we hold." Mictlan's eyes narrowed, his presence growing more formidable. He spoke of the consequences of granting life to beings who would possess free will and the ability to challenge the gods themselves. He warned that humankind's curiosity would drive them to test boundaries, to create and to destroy, to love and to hate. "And what will you do, Quetzalcoatl?" he asked, "when your creations defy you, when they no longer fear the gods?" Quetzalcoatl's gaze did not waver. He accepted the potential for rebellion, the inevitability of conflict, as part of the journey of life. "Let them learn," he replied, "for even in their defiance, they will seek meaning, and in that search, they will honor both the legacy of life and death. I will not demand their worship, only their understanding." With this, Mictlan's expression softened, though his voice remained as cold as stone. "You may take the bones," he finally said, "but only if you could bear the weight of this gift. These are no mere relics, they are memories of those who came before, and their essence carries both wisdom and sorrow." As Mictlan extended his bony hand, Quetzalcoatl felt the immense responsibility set upon him. He approached the god of death with reverence, accepting the bones with the hands that trembled with both honor and the weight of his commitment. Yet Mictlan did not release the bones immediately. "One last test," he declared. "If you can hold these bones without faltering, without letting them slip from your grasp, you may leave with them. but know that one misstep, one moment of doubt, and they will scatter into dust. Quetzalcoatl nodded, determined to meet this final challenge. As he took hold of the bones, he felt their weight, a burden not of physical mass, but of memories, lives, and stories bound to the bones. Each one pulsed with energy, a voice that whispered of a life lived, of love, of struggle, of final rest. It was a humbling experience, a reminder of the enormity of what he was asking to create. With steady breath, Quetzalcoatl began to ascend back to the Mictlan. The bones grew heavier with each step, as if testing his resolve with every moment. Each soul he encountered seemed to return, pressing upon him with memories and emotions that demanded acknowledgement. The shadows clung to him, seeking to draw out any doubt, any uncertainty. But he pressed on, his grip unwavering, his heart committed to the vision he held for humanity. As he neared the entrance of Mictlan, however, the weight became almost unbearable. A wave of sorrow swept over him, a grief so intense that it broke his resolve almost. In that moment, he understood that these bones bore the collective sorrow for all of existence, a sorrow that would live on the hearts of those he sought to create. He stumbled, his grip slipping for an instant, and in that fraction of a second, he feared he had failed. But a vision came to him, a glimpse of the future he had yet to build. He saw humans, resilient and courageous, enduring hardships, finding joy, creating art, and passing down memories that honored both life and death. He saw them facing their own trials with the same strength and resolve that he had shown in Mictlan. This vision renewed his strength, grounding his grip on the bones once more. Mictlan observed his struggle, silently watching from the shadows as Quetzalcoatl steadied himself. He saw the determination, the dedication, and the willingness to bear the burdens of creation. And so, as Quetzalcoatl reached the final edge of Mictlan, the god of death released his silent hold, allowing him to leave with the bones intact. Emerging from the shadows of Mictlan, Quetzalcoatl took a final look back, feeling a profound respect for Mictlan and the realm of the dead. His journey had been one of immense challenge, yet he had gained insights that only Mictlan could reveal. He now understood that life, in all of its forms, was bound not only by love and joy, but by sorrow and loss. And he had accepted this fully, knowing that humanity would inherit these qualities and carry them forward. With the sacred bones in his possession, Quetzalcoatl returned to the world above, bearing with him the essence of life and death intertwined. His creation would be a testament of the resilience that he had shown in Mictlan, a living legacy of both his triumphs and the eternal cycles of existence. In the days that followed, he honored his promise. He used the bones to form humanity, breathing life into beings who would ultimately walk the earth, love fiercely, struggle bravely, and face the mystery of death with courage. As they grew, they remembered him, not only as the god who created them, but as the god who had journeyed into the Underworld and returned with the knowledge that bound life and death together. Quetzalcoatl had brought life into the world, yet he had done so with a profound respect for the forces that governed it. He had faced Mictlan, endured the trials of Mictlan, and emerged transformed. His journey had shown him that life and death were but two sides of the same coin, inseparable and eternally linked. And so, in the legends of the people, his story lived on, the story of creation, sacrifice, and the delicate balance that holds all things together. As Quetzalcoatl returned from Mictlan, he felt the weight of the bones growing heavier, a reminder of the immense responsibility he carried. The journey had been arduous, pushing him to his limits, and yet he knew that his commitment required one last final act, a sacrifice that would breathe life into these sacred relics. For the essence of life demanded a cost, a tribute that only the heart of a creator could offer. In a secluded place atop the mountains, where the heavens met the earth, Quetzalcoatl laid the bones upon the ground, arranging them with reverence. Each bone represented a soul, a future filled with potential, waiting to awaken and shape the world. He gazed at them, reflecting on the journey that had brought him to this point, the trials he had faced, and the sacrifices he had made. But now, his own life would become the spark that animated these bones, transforming them from silent remains to the heartbeat of humankind. With quiet determination, Quetzalcoatl closed his eyes and drew upon his divine energy, channeling it into the bones. He breathed life into them, his essence merging with relics, infusing each fragment with the spirit of creation. Yet, as his process unfolded, he felt his own strength beginning to fade. The energy required to bring life was vast, and it began to drain him, slowly unraveling his godly form. As his bones began to stir, filling with life, Quetzalcoatl's body grew weaker, his divine essence dispersing into the air. He understood that the sacrifice was necessary, that his journey into the underworld had been but a prelude to this ultimate act of creation. His spirit intertwined with the bones, becoming a part of the cycle he had fought so hard to uphold. Finally, as the first breath of humanity filled the air, Quetzalcoatl fell, his body crumbling to the earth in a final act of selflessness. But his spirit remained, interwoven with the life that he had just created. His death was not an end, it was a transformation, a passage into another state of existence. In his sacrifice, he had become part of every living being, a force that would live on through the hearts of humankind. In the days that followed, the people began to emerge, the first humans who would walk the earth. They looked to the heavens, sensing the presence of their Creator, feeling His Spirit within them. They saw His sacrifice reflected in their own capacity for love, struggle, and resilience. In their stories, they honored Quetzalcoatl, carrying forth his memory, teaching their descendants of the God who had given everything so that they might live. And so, Quetzalcoatl's journey did not end with his death, but rather with his rebirth in the hearts and minds of humankind. He became a symbol of sacrifice, a delicate balance between life and death, and of the profound gifts of creation. His spirit lingered in every breath, in every heartbeat, a legacy that would endure for ages to come. Through this sacrifice, Quetzalcoatl achieved something beyond godhood. He became an eternal part of the world, a force woven into the fabric of existence. His story became legend, a tale passed down through the generations, reminding all who heard it of the power of selflessness, and the courage to face the unknown, and the wisdom found in the cycle of life and death. When Quetzalcoatl returned from the death of Mictlan, he left behind more than shadows and trials. He left a part of himself embedded in the bones of humanity. His journey was a testament to the values he held most dear: courage, sacrifice, and the pursuit of knowledge. And these values became the foundation upon which humanity would build their lives. The people who emerged from his creation were unlike any beings before them. They carried within them the duality that defined Quetzalcoatl himself, the wisdom of a god and the resilience of a mortal. Each human life became a reflection of his journey, embodying the same strengths and weaknesses, hopes and fears. In their hearts, they carried his essence, a silent reminder of the God who had ventured into death and returned with a spark of life. Quetzalcoatl's tale is more than an ancient myth. It is a story that transcends time and space, bridging the divine and the mortal, the eternal and the transient. Through his journey into Mictlan, Quetzalcoatl embodied the ultimate balance between life and death, bringing forth a creation that would carry the spirit of all time. His actions taught humanity about the cost of creation, the beauty of sacrifice, and the resilience required to face life's trials. Quetzalcoatl's story holds a mirror to humanity, reflecting both the strength and the vulnerability of divine existence. His journey through the underworld serves as a reminder that even gods must endure hardship, that creation itself is born from struggle, and that sacrifice is at the heart of meaningful growth. The legend endures not simply as a myth of creation, but as a profound truth that resonates across cultures and generations. In honoring Quetzalcoatl's story, we honor the cycle of life itself. His legacy reminds us of life, like the seasons, is a cycle of endings and beginnings. And so, as the feathered serpent tale lives on, it continues to inspire us, offering strength, guidance, and a reminder that our own journeys, however daunting, are meaningful, worthy, and ultimately eternal.